Hey there, Mercedes here from PrettyWebz.com, and today I'm going to show you how to simulate a Dutch pour fluid painting effect inside of Photoshop. This is a very therapeutic way of using Photoshop for digital art, but don't worry, you don't have to be a great artist for this. It's just a super fun way of using Photoshop, and it has such a calming effect. I think you're going to love it. So let's go ahead and get started. Because I'm recording right now, I'm going to be starting with a much smaller canvas. For this one, I'm using a 1000 by 536 pixel document. It is somewhat labor intensive on your computer, meaning you'll probably hear your fan kick on every once in a while, but you can always start small like I'm doing right now and then move toward a bigger canvas if you want to later. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with this. So we're gonna be using the smudge tool here to simulate that pushing or that blowing effect that you usually see with an alcohol ink or an acrylic pour. So that's the style that we're going for with this. Now, obviously inside of Photoshop, it's gonna be impossible to get a pour where it's just flowing all over the canvas. It's just impossible to get that on the screen. So we are gonna have to push it on our own. So this would be more like a technique where you're using a hair dryer or some type of air blower in order to get the paint moving on the canvas. So we're gonna go ahead and start here. The first one I'm gonna show you is a full background. So I'm gonna make sure that I'm here on my smudge tool. You don't have any special brushes that you need for this. I'm just gonna be using a hard round brush from the legacy brushes inside of Photoshop. So no special brushes needed for this. Just the one brush. I am gonna bring the size of this brush up pretty big, about 300 for this one. And when you're in the smudge tool, you're gonna have this whole section available to you up here. So for us, we're gonna start by changing the strength to 100%. And we're gonna make sure that finger painting is checked off. I am using a tablet, so I'm gonna go ahead and check that pressure sensitivity on. And I wanna make sure that sample all layers is turned off. I don't wanna sample this white. I am using it as my background. So what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and add a new layer on top of my background. And I'm gonna use this layer to pour out the paint. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick out some colors here. I think I'm gonna go for maybe a purple, like a deep purple color somewhere around here. These colors are always really nice. The jewel tone colors are really beautiful for something like this. And then the background color, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it actually this really bright color. So we do want some contrast between these two. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave these two colors. And if you're not really sure what colors will go well together, you can always use Adobe Color Themes. If you come up to Window, go to Extensions, and then go to Adobe Color Themes. These are the colors that I chose. I just kind of moved this around based on my color rules. I'm using this first one right here, and it's basically given me these colors. So I have this purple and this blue. Those are the colors that I'm gonna be working with. Anyhow, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Make sure, like I said up here, finger painting is turned on. And then I have my purple color. So I'm just gonna create a circle here. I'm gonna press the letter X on my keyboard. I'm gonna bring the size of this down a pretty good amount. And now I have that blue color there. So I'm gonna draw, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And then a letter X on the keyboard to bring that purple up again. And you can use multiple colors. They don't have to be the same colors. Basically what I'm making is a target at this point. So, more of that blue. Bring this size down a little bit more purple, more blue. And then you can go as far as you want with this. You can use all different colors. Creating something like this is going to be all about experimentation and artistic expression more than it is about following a formula. So you'll have to work with this and move it around to get the style that you want. I'm going to go ahead and turn off finger painting, and I'm going to bring the size of my brush way up. So right here, I have it at 400, and you can see how big it looks on this canvas. So something similar to this. I'm still on that smudge tool, and I'm using that basic, get rid of that, and I am using that basic hard round brush from Legacy Brushes. Okay, the last and most important thing that we need to do is bring our strength down to about 20% or so, and you can play with this as well. But I find that 20% is pretty good for this. So now all you have to do is come over and start pushing the color around the canvas. So this is going to give you like a faded, dreamy effect. I'm going to move it out in some areas, and you can see how I can move this around, and it's not necessarily all going to stay in, you know, in that target shape that we created. Also, you can see in some areas right here that we have some very harsh lines. I'll show you how to get rid of those if you don't like those in a little bit. Now I'm going to bring the brush size down to about right there. And I have a lot of these areas that are just, you know, really harsh lines. So I'm just going to start pushing those out. Bringing some of this back in here. And then just working with this. So I can hear my processor start to come on right now. We're moving a lot of pixels around the canvas, so it is making the computer work a little bit. So you'll probably hear that fan coming on. But you can work with this as much as you like, and if you don't like what you came up with, just bring the size of your brush back up and start moving things around again. Bring it back down, work on details, come in and move things around. And now that you have, you know, somewhat of a shape here, you can also start to add other colors. So I'm going to go ahead and add maybe a little bit of orange or something. I'll add that color right there, like a bright orange to this. And once I have that color there, I'll just come back up here to finger painting. I'm going to leave it at 20% because I don't want a really strong orange color. I kind of want it faded out a little bit. So I'm just going to dot it there just to add the orange. And then I might add some like a lighter purple and just add that there as well. So if you're overlapping the color, they're going to blend a lot better versus if you put one color here and one color there, or if you just put them side by side, they don't blend as much as when you're overlapping them in this way. So I'm going to go ahead and leave them overlapped. I'm going to uncheck finger painting so that I can push the color around. And this process does take some patience. If you've ever worked with alcohol inks or done an acrylic pour, then you'll know that you do need to finesse it a little bit. I think I might go a little bit darker with the orange. So I'm going to bring that there. I'm going to turn my finger painting back on and add that in there. Turn it back off. So as with any other abstract work, you'll have to work through it until you get something that you're happy with. But the time that you spend with this is really enjoyable. It really is a nice, relaxing experience to work in Photoshop like this. I know a lot of times working in graphic design software can be somewhat formulaic rather than artistic, but I think this one right here, it really is a more of an artistic, therapeutic type of thing to do with Photoshop. So if you ever have one of those days where you're feeling just completely stressed out, consider doing something like this. Now you can get some really stunning results and some very beautiful artwork. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop there with this one. We could easily add a lot more color in here and, you know, change this up a lot. We'll go ahead and leave that as it is. It's just, like I said, a quick demonstration to show you how to make the background. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new layer, and I'm going to turn this one off. I'm going to use that background white, but I'm working on a new layer. So this layer right here is not going to be a part of the final product. This one is going to be somewhat transparent. So you can layer pieces together and really work with it in that way. So I'm going to bring my brush back up, not so much. Let's see, I'm going to use maybe this color right here, like a teal color. And okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use this purple color. So it's going to be a darker purple color. I do have finger painting checked off. Again, my strength is only at 20%. You can bring it up if you want a darker color, but I want this to look more wispy. So I'm gonna just go ahead and leave it there. I'm only gonna be using this color for now, that top color. So, and then I'm just gonna go really dark toward the center. Okay, now I'm gonna turn finger painting off and I'm gonna come back in and start moving this around. So what I was going for is this really wispy color that I'm getting toward the edges. It's really dark and concentrated here in the middle, and then it just kind of comes out toward the edges there. And don't worry about going too far toward the edge. Right now we're just spreading out this color. I'm gonna bring my brush size down and I'm gonna use another color. So I'll go ahead and keep this, but I'm gonna go brighter with it. And turn finger painting back on and then just tap here in the center to add just a little bit of paint. I'm going to go ahead and add some orange as well here toward the center, and maybe a lighter purple as well. So we've got a whole bunch of different colors there toward the center. I'm going to uncheck finger paint and then I'm just going to go over them. You can see I've lost that blue altogether, so I'm going to go ahead and add some more of that blue color. Turn on that finger paint, just kind of put that in there and then work that through. And I'm going to pull some of this color back in here because I want to start creating a shape. You can see how forgiving this is, because if you don't like the shape that you're coming up with, you can always just bring it back to the center and start over again. If you lose one of your colors or you just don't like what's happening, you can just add more color to it. I'm going to make my brush smaller and just bring this out. I'm going to go ahead and add some more of this blue color in here. So we'll come in and just add that right there. So whenever you need to add color, you just check finger paint, add the color, and then uncheck it when you want to start pushing the paint around. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and leave this as it is. I probably would add some brighter oranges here. Just keep layering on the paint if I were going to complete this whole thing. Just for the sake of showing you just a few other steps that you can take, I'm going to go ahead and keep going. So once you have something that you're happy with, and I'm going to go ahead and turn that off, you can see that this is very transparent. So you can give it a solid background like this, or you can make multiple of these and then just add them together to create another image. But for us, we're going to go ahead and leave it like this. I'm going to add some gold in here. So I'm going to go ahead and come down here and add a new layer over the top of this one. I'm going to select this layer, go to select, color range. I'm going to choose a color, so something like right around here, and you can see in the preview what this is going to look like. You can adjust how much or how little is going to be selected in this. This we're going to turn gold, so this is going to be a gold overlay that we're going to create. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK just to make that selection, and I'm going to come back up to this layer, double click right here to open up our layer styles, and I'm going to add a pattern overlay. So I have all of these golds. Most of these are from Creators Couture. She's on Creative Market. She has beautiful gold textures to choose from. So I'll go ahead and leave a link to her Creative Market shop here as well. But I'm going to just choose one for now and click OK. And then on my keyboard, I'm going to press Command and Backspace, or Control and Backspace on a PC. You can go one time and you can see that some of this is very faint color. It's going to be up to you if you want to add even more. You'll just keep on pressing Command and Delete, Control Backspace until you get the color that you're looking for. For me, I'm going to leave it faint like that. Command and D to deselect so you can see what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and click on the pattern now that I know what it looks like in here, and then just kind of go for some different golds. I think I'm going to go for a lighter pattern for this one. I'll go ahead and leave that one. Click OK. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, make sure to like and share it. If you don't want to miss any more tutorials from this channel, just subscribe and hit that bell notification. Make sure to visit PrettyWebz.com for more design resources and tutorials. Until next time, thanks for watching.